Hey, what's up, Saggitarius? Welcome back to another general tarot reading. So, well, actually, we have your first energy coming out pretty quickly. Three of Swords. That is an energy of stabilizing your heart with your mentalism. Traditionally, this card is supposed to symbolize a heartbreak, but I actually have a different opinion. And my opinion is that this card is signifying the fact that these three swords represent your mentalism, stabilizing how your heart feels. So it's not exactly about heartbreak directly. More specifically, it is about mind over heart, mind over your spiritual heart, not letting your heart rule who you are. So it is a sign of stabilizing your mentalism, using your mentalism to guide your emotions to a certain extent, not being lost in your emotionality. So following that, we have the Ace of Wands reverse coming out. That is a card of your anticipation falling into disappointment. That is exactly what happens when you cannot stabilize your heart properly, because your emotional anticipations are failing. And actions you thought were going to yield you your anticipation actually yield you disappointment. And sort of what I'm getting here is that because your heart is ruling you, and because you're letting your heart direct who you are, it's causing you to be disappointed. And you aren't stabilizing your heart properly. And with the Ten of Swords reversed on the other side, excuse me 1 second. This is my last reading of the day, so I'm getting close to having to go to bed here. I'm going to finish this reading first. So on the other side of this, we now have the Ten of Swords in reverse. That is a sign of putting up with your heart doing this to you. The problem is that continuing to fail on these actions builds another type of momentum, and hitting the Ten of Swords in reverse means that you have reached the inevitable conclusion of those faulty anticipations, and you are finally going through what you have earned by building up momentum in that fashion. So it's like, it is a sign of getting over something, getting over ruin. The problem is you have to go through that ruin that you've built up for yourself in terms of the momentum that has generated that happening. So it's like if you don't check your tire pressure multiple times, over and over and over and over again, and then finally your tire has to pop. There's nothing else that can happen. It's going to pop because it was neglected for too long, and the natural course of action is that neglect caused the tire to pop. And essentially that's kind of what I'm seeing here, is failing to stabilize your heart like this, allowing your heart to rule all of your actions and anticipations and desires, and I'm missing a third word for that, but anticipation is the key one. Eventually that just breaks down, and whatever you were hoping to happen does not occur as you anticipated it. So, very strong to start this reading about failing to see how your heart is responsible for how your desires are not manifesting. Very interesting. So, even further, geez, yeah, this is hella energy about your heart yielding you very, very high disappointment. So this is yielding sort of more to the traditional notion of this card, that the card is about heartbreak, because you got all this disappointment surrounding it. However, I'm still sticking to my quality of the idea that this is a call for you to not let your heart rule you like this. You're supposed to be stabilizing your emotions differently, using your mentalism. So there's a very good shot that some kind of fear is in your heart. And when that is happening, that means that it's tied to a certain mentalism. And if you were to shift that mentalism into something that is truer than what you were feeling, you would be able to shift out of that disappointing notion. And that would actually empower your heart better for, excuse me, hold on. Oh yeah, I'm going to bed after this reading, that's for sure. It would cause your heart to work better with your mentalism, and you wouldn't be so disappointed, is essentially what this is suggesting. But without stabilizing that energy properly using your mentalism, you are falling into a lot of disappointment. And we're even seeing here that part of that disappointment is that you are stuck in a prolonged, you're stuck in like a prolonged, I don't want to say disappointment again because I just said disappointment, but you're very disappointed in this energy. You feel very left out in the cold. You feel very destitute. You're stuck in destitution at this point. And unfortunately, what the sign I'm getting here is that your heart is the culprit. You do feel this way. But that is partly because you're allowing your heart to rule this experience, as opposed to stabilizing it with some mentalism. That is what I am seeing here. That's pretty strong read for Sagittarius off the top here. I'm at 6 minutes. So before I had these cards drew, I was going to tell you I'm doing something a little different with this cycle of readings. You're the last reading of the cycle, where I'm doing things much quicker than I typically do. Partly that's due to the fact that even though I've got a pretty good amount of views on my videos, the retention rate isn't the greatest. So I'm working on I'm experimenting this cycle with a new method of retention. So I'm just doing things a little quicker than usual. No, I'm not doing any descriptions or timestamps, and I'm not doing a proper title. And then when I'm in the reading, I'm doing my best to not just explain so much and just try and move the reading forward at a much more decent pace, so I don't wear on everybody's patience. So that's kind of why I'm changing things up a little bit in this reading. So let's see here. Let us expand the Ace of Wands in reverse. Can I get a clear sign for the Ace of Wands in reverse, please? Wow, Temperance in reverse. So that's another sign of you not stabilizing your internal world properly. And this is Sagittarius energy. So your own energy has even emerged here. And it flipped right out. I didn't even pick a card out. So that really wanted to emerge for you. Your energy, and it is speaking to exactly what I'm talking about. You, as with the Sagittarius in this form, the Temperance Angel is about shedding your weakness. It's about I wish I had a better word besides for tempering for it. It's like you're putting effort into increasing your quality. And a lot of times that has to do with internally. So this is just more of the same. That's what I would say. Excuse me once again. It goes back to what I was suggesting, that you are missing out on changing this part about you on the inside. And what it's asking you to do is, it's asking you to temper your heart, because your raw emotionality does not seem to be serving you here. And it's leading to some consequences that aren't even pleasant for you. And that might be reinforcing the whole thing. So, dang, definitely another sign that you're stuck in this energy. So let's see what we've got for clarifier on the Ace of Wands reverse. The Chariot in reverse. Even more inability to take action due to how this heart space issue is affecting your capacity to believe in yourself. It's affecting your capacity to embrace your true strength. It has got you sort of deflated, demotivated. It has got you off your chariot. You are not taking up the reins of your life because of how these feelings are making you feel. That is a huge part of what this is suggesting here. Darn, two very unfortunate major arcana in the reverse for you. One of them is even your own energy, so it's very interesting. Definitely very interesting. Very disappointing, but very interesting at the same time. I can't deny it. So let's expand the Ten of Swords reverse then. Can I get a clarifier for the Ten of Swords, please? Reversed. So here we've got the High Priestess in reverse. Another sign of your intuition being out of whack. And your intuition and your heart space are a little bit more in tune with each other. Your intuition is like the fuel for your heart space, and your mentalism is sort of what manifests that intuition. It's what yields that manifestation into a form. The intuition, even though that's sort of the source of it, it gets displayed to us through our mentalisms. and it gets empowered through our heart. And the High Priestess in reverse then is signifying here that it's just another sign of the same thing. You are lacking in your intuition. And when you're lacking in your intuition, there's usually a dissociation where either your heart or your mind rules the other, and it toxifies the other one. And in this instance, what I'm seeing here is it's that your heart is overbearing on your mentalism, and that is causing your desires to be faulty, your anticipations to fail you. It's another sign here that what you've got to do is stabilize your intuition. And the first step to that is you've got to stabilize your heart space and make sure that you're coming from the right place with your heart space. And the way you do that is you've got to start focusing on much more optimism in your mentalism. And once you can break into that more optimistic notion, then typically what happens is your heart kind of follows suit, and you begin to re-embrace your intuition, and you begin to re-embrace your higher power. And that all helps to kind of compound the stabilization of your mind and your heart. And that's essentially what listening to your intuition is. So that's another call to get your temperance sorted out, to find that quality within yourself. It is a call to do inner work, but since Sagittarius is the temperance angel, that might be something that you have the quality to do. And it might be just something that you're not wary of and you've never considered, that you have that capacity to sort of take control of your own experience like that. But if you don't, you're definitely going to just kind of go off the cuff with however you feel, and that can lead to a lot of these issues. So let's clarify the Ten of Swords in reverse. This came out pretty quick. Ten of Swords in reverse clarified by the Emperor in reverse. Wow. Very unstable, very insecure energy. Usually when this card emerges, I'm very tempted to read it in as an individual, but in this instance, it matches this insecurity. And it's unfortunate because you're mirrored by this Chariot, and the Emperor is who takes up the Chariot. But in this reverse energy, they've fallen off their Chariot, or they've lost the capacity to believe in themselves enough to get on the Chariot. So when we see this Emperor here, definitely very masculine. Maybe you are a masculine Sagittarius. And that means that the Emperor, who is insecure like this and lacking in their heart space, can be toxic, but they can also be impatient. They're really missing out on all the qualities that would have made them the Emperor in the first place. So it's a good sign that they are sort of insecure, but also to a certain extent impatient. And unstable. It's just a further sign of the instability here. Masculine insecurity, masculine instability. And that can be very toxic and very disappointing. So following up all of that, we had the Five of Wands come out on the other side. It's fire energy. It's another sign of a lack of growth. It's matching this temperance in reverse. It is a sign of not being able to get to the heart of the matter, not being able to face conflict in order to grow. And it's almost striking me as within yourself then. So you're lacking to a certain extent the capacity to, maybe the courage to have like a sort of tough talk with the utter reality of yourself, or to face the utter reality of yourself for the sake of growing, to kind of have that internal conflict. And part of that is because your heart is very likely afraid of doing that. Maybe your ego is getting involved, but there is also a slight sign that it could be, typically that card, the Five of Wands reversed, has to do with a group of people who are in conflict. And in the upright, it's like a group of people who are conflicting for the sake of growth. It's healthy confliction. It's like 5 people who all are bringing their best idea forward, and then they're all debating over what the best idea is. That way all of them can agree on the best idea and move forward with the best idea, so the whole group can benefit from that. However, when the card is in the reverse, that means that conflict is not taking place. That means that form of growth is absent, and instead fear is causing everybody to not want to step on anybody else's toes. The problem is by going with that short-term solution, the long-term solution of finding the best solution is sacrificed. And that's what it can mean in a group setting. So it could mean that in a group setting there is a lot of fear here that is deterring that process. And if the leadership is poor, like with this Emperor in reverse, that can happen. And that momentum eventually builds up into a situation like this where travesty has to strike because the people keep failing over and over because they're not growing. And eventually something bad's going to happen. You know, how many people does it take to screw in a light bulb that's out? Well, there's no number that will do it if all of them are too afraid to change the light bulb. If all of them are too afraid to have that conversation about who has to change it. Or who's best suited to change it. So, like, that's kind of a silly example off the top of my head, but that's kind of the point here. It's mixing in with your other energy, even. This in particular. When a group does this over here, when a group does not grow properly, they stay stuck in the same patterns, and if nobody takes leadership, the same weakness keeps compounding and compounding and compounding until something has to break. And that is a lot of what's going on here. And it's starting to speak to me that this Emperor is a leader of some kind, but they're in an insecure energy of their own, and that's usually somebody who cannot get this group dynamic to the correct place, and it can get you stuck in this reverse energy over here. That's very disappointing, but that's also where Temperance is supposed to be coming into the mix, because Temperance in the upright is what would provide that difference. It's what it represents, finding that strength and bringing forth that strength to eradicate the weakness involved. So, interesting. The other thing that's very strange here is we just got the Three of Wands. Now, that is a sign of success, achieved success, stability in succeeding. So it's very strange is the reverse Chariot versus reverse Temperance is somehow emerging into this success, which would be I would expect it to be the other way. If you're off your Chariot and you're not tempering your greater strength, that is usually a recipe for failure. Yet, you got the Three of Wands in the upright. So I'm not sure how you're pulling that out of your butt necessarily, but you are somehow managing to establish some kind of success regardless. And I don't know if you're doing it by the skin of your teeth. I don't know if maybe you are just hearing what I'm saying and it's going to inspire you to succeed differently, and you're going to find that success from the Temperance reversed. But definitely very interesting how that card is emerging next to these two cards, which are not about succeeding. Usually you need these two cards in the upright to reach this. So I'm very curious now. I'm actually going to see if I can clarify the Five of Wands reversed, because somehow you make that happen, or somehow that's coming forth in the energy. The only thing I can really think of in the interval would be that you're sick of this failure, and it's just finally lit a fire under your butt, and you're like, we're going to make this victory happen or something. So very interesting, especially with this Emperor in reverse. It's like definitely out of place. This Three of Wands is definitely out of place. So nothing wants to come out for the Five of Wands. Pretty quick reading here. We're at 18 minutes. God, that went by in like 2 seconds. I was even going quote unquote fast, and it still is at 18 freaking minutes. I don't understand how other tarot readers can put in as much info as they do into like a 10-minute video or a 12-minute video. Sometimes it's unbelievable to me. So whatever. Maybe I'm doing better than I'm imagining. I'm not sure. So let me continue here. Let me see. Can I expand the High Priestess in reverse? Clear message for the High Priestess in reverse. Expanded, please. Anything to expand the High Priestess in reverse? Okay, so the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Wow. Fate isn't going to be able to serve you. You're not going to be able to get on board with fate properly if you aren't listening to it properly. And that means you're not going to be able to... Fate can't provide you opportunities if you aren't listening to it. So definitely a sign that you're off point on your fate as well. On higher power being able to serve you. Very off point on higher power in this particular reading. And that can lead to a lot of insecurities if you're just purely writing in the material realm like that. You're missing an opportunity to embrace a much different quality of living. And once again, if your heart is locked in some toxicity, higher power cannot get through to you. So this insecurity and this locked energy definitely needs to be turned around. And part of how you turn that around, like I said, is it looks like you have to temper your mentalism a little bit to help out with that. So I'm going to get one more shuffle in here, and then I will clarify the High Priestess in reverse for you. But this is a tough one. This is definitely a tough one. So High Priestess reverse clarified by Five of Swords. That's a little strange there. Once again, that's matching this weird energy. Usually when you're insecure like this, you don't see the path forward properly. In this instance, though, I'm seeing that you do see some kind of path forward properly. So this is almost leading me to believe that somebody else is perhaps trapping you in this space, because for you to move beyond this energy, you have to take a different path in life. And when you do that, there are people who can't follow you because they're not strong enough, or they don't believe in the path forward, or they don't think it's going to serve them. Something is dissociating others from taking the same path as you. So it's definitely a sign of separation. It's a sign of people choosing to go different ways. But in the upright, it is a sign that it is signifying this energy is righteous to a certain extent. You do see the path forward for you better. So I don't know why people aren't on board with you grasping your higher power, but that is a part of what this is suggesting. It is suggesting that there are other individuals who are, and it may even be this insecure emperor. So maybe you have an authority figure in your life, a masculine authority figure. Maybe it's just like a boss or something. I don't know what it is, but they think like their way's right or something, and like you're trying this new thing, and somebody's not going to be seeing eye to eye to you, even though you've kind of got the righteous path here. So that's very interesting. Can we clarify the Five of Wands reversed, please? I'm still curious about how that plays out. Very interesting balance here with the Three of Wands and the Five of Swords, because those are upright in very peculiar positions. Okay, so Five of Wands reversed clarified by the Knight of Wands in the reverse. Wow. Yeah, I'm super confused about this Three of Wands. I'm probably going to do another clarifier for it. Knight of Wands reversed, very... Okay, so that's also Sagittarius energy, potentially fire signs, so Leo, Sagittarius, Aries. And this energy, it's very disappointing energy. It's somebody who's like kind of a jackass. They're kind of like... They can be susceptible to being a bully, but sort of with this surrounding energy, I'm kind of getting the vibe that they're the insecure one that might not be allowing other people to have that conversation. So the energy of the Knight of Wands reversed is definitely somebody who can be really like quick-tempered, hot-tempered. They can be sort of belligerent. If their insecurities are pushed, they can be very domineering at times. They can be a bully. So that it strikes me that this insecurity then is like, for some reason this fire energy is a key to this insecurity. And it's sort of why this temperance is having trouble occurring. So, once again though, the Three of Wands here, very strange positioning for this Three of Wands. If it was in the reverse, it would be super, super clear. So I'm going to clarify it one step further here. Okay, please clarify the Three of Wands. Okay, so Three of Wands wants to clarify with the Sun card. Once again, sort of what I was insinuating was that there's a lot of failure around this Three of Wands. Temperance reversed makes it very hard to get there. The Chariot reversed makes it hard to get there. The Knight of Wands isn't of the quality to exactly get there. So how you're getting to this point of success anyways is very, very tricky, but like the Sun card clarifying this is a sign that you're tempering properly. And the Sun in the upright is somebody who gets on this Chariot. And it's a Knight of Wands who's in the upright and is not this toxic. The Sun is a signifier of this Five of Wands in the upright, and it's a sign of this Ace of Wands in the upright. So for some reason here, you are getting a sign that despite all this negative energy, there is still potential to succeed, but that success comes from finding this optimism, this mental optimism, which is what the Sun is. The Sun is finding the bright side, finding the positive qualities of life, focusing on the positive elements of your existence. And to be so specific about that mentally, it is mentalism. It is about your mind's the product of your mind being very optimistic. And that is speaking to the quelling of your kind of dashed emotionalism, for sure. So, very strange, because all of the surrounding energy is very negative. And it's all very indicative of failure, so to speak. It's all very indicative of weakness, of lack of action, of lack of success. But then it gets cinched up here with this Three of Swords, or Three of Wands, which is about achieved success, established strength. You know, you victory achieved. The complete opposite of all of this other energy. And it's clarified by the Sun card. It's almost like you have to see victory even when failure is all around you. And that's a key to your mentalism. It's sort of a cliche sort of law of attraction thing. If you are stuck in all this failure and you just keep seeing that failure and all you see in your mind's eye is that that failure is normalized, you're going to keep failing. But if you can, within all of that failure, if you can within yourself focus on the positive, so to speak, focus on the optimistic, focus on the way to achieve victory, keep achievement of victory in mind, you can turn all this energy around. Is essentially what this is suggesting to you. And still, though, a key to that is going to be getting out of this fear. And you got to use the optimism of the sun to sort of guide your heart differently. So, very interesting. Definitely very interesting. Very powerful. Pulling the sun out there for you. So, final card here. Looking at 26 minutes. Once again, that feels like, God, it just feels like... Sometimes I don't feel like I get that much into 26 minutes, but maybe there's more going in there than I realize. So dang, the World card even coming out in reverse for you. Very powerful Major Arcana, World, Wheel of Fortune, both in the reverse though. Yeah, the World can't help you out here. You cannot get over this issue of fate not being able to help you out. This is definitely a sign of higher power being blocked. You're blocking higher power when your heart is so deactivated, when you're so insecure. And once again, it's even surrounding this Five of Swords. So like, I kind of want to clarify that too real quick. Can I clarify the Five of Swords further, please? Can I please get a fourth clarifier for this Five of Swords, please? One clear expansion upon this Five of Swords. I'm definitely missing it on how that... It's just like that Three of Wands over there. It's very tricky. So, dang. Two of Pentacles reversed. Definitely a sign of imbalance. And with the Wheel of Fortune and the World card turned around, you're definitely imbalanced. So for the Two of Pentacles, like... Did I say Two of Wands? I meant to say Two of Pentacles. I might have said Two of Wands on accident. For the Two of Pentacles in reverse, that is just a sign that you're pushing too hard in one way and you're not balancing a certain capacity. The cliche example I use is water, H2O. If you have 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen, that makes a water. But if you put all the effort in to add 1 million hydrogen extra, but 0 water, you get no, or 0 oxygen, you don't get any more water, despite all the effort to put in the hydrogen. The other reality is you have to have the balance. You have to have the hydrogen and the oxygen. So even if you have 1 million hydrogen but no extra oxygen, it doesn't matter if you push that up to 10 million, up to 100 million. It doesn't matter how much effort you put into it. The raw effort is not good enough. You have to have the balance. And this is a sign that you are imbalanced about that. So what I'm missing here, though, is that it's all surrounding this Five of Swords energy, which is typically that is somebody seeing the path forward where others do not. But there's still this weird sign of imbalance here. And spiritually speaking, the imbalance is typically between your heart and your mind, which is another sign right here. Because this is the sign that your heart is overruling your mind. Your mind isn't providing its piece of the puzzle. And when that happens, you can disconnect with your higher power. You got to have that heart and mind resonance on point for your higher power to be able to get through properly. And for fate to be able to deliver you a completion of this cycle. So this is just extremely blocked energy. Extremely blocked energy. Extremely imbalanced. And what I'm missing here is, I'm really missing what this Five of Swords is trying to tell you. It's like, it's almost like you're pushing in the same ways, but they aren't working. Even though you're on the right path going down those routes, you're still going to fail on the right path because you're out of balance for some reason. So it's not even about the path you're taking being right or wrong. It is literally about just your quality of applying yourself to the journey. So it doesn't even matter if you're on the right path. It doesn't matter if you're on the right road if your car breaks down. If your machinery, if your mechanism of travel breaks on you or is faulty while you're at it. So that's very disappointing. Very strange clarifying, but that is what I'm seeing. It's all about your own internal capacity. You can't even be on, it's not good enough to just be on the right path. It's how you take the path too. And that is going to have to be through your intuition being different. Or not different, but you have to actually embrace your intuition better. You have to embrace what higher power needs you to do differently, because fate can't help you out right now in this stuck energy. The momentum you've built up through what looks like being ruled by your heart, more specifically being ruled by emotions which are typically fear-based, insecurity-based, anxiety-based. They're disrupting your achievement. They're disrupting your anticipation. And you would be served by trying to rectify that and finding a better quality in your heart, your spiritual heart. Which is, strangely enough, the first step here is suggesting that it's by leaning towards rationality a little bit better, to kind of quell your heart's fear and to quell your heart's insecurity. You've got to retune your emotions out of that insecure energy, or it's going to keep dashing your ability to solve this issue. So, and that's the same thing that's going on over here, is it's asking you to find optimism, find the bright side of life, find the good in things, count your blessings, cliche stuff like that. I know it's really cliche, and I'm not great at doing it, so I'm not trying to preach here, because like, as easy as it is for me to see that that's what you need to do and tell you that's what you need to do, it's not easy. If you're not like very practiced in doing that and being very focused on that, and you have a huge momentum of your heart being like this, it's very tricky. The habits just fall right back into place, and it can be very tough to do that. But that's the mechanics of what you've got to do here. And if you can take this to heart, it's something that you can apply. So I'm hoping that you can figure it out, because being stuck in all of this energy is not where you want to be. You want to be someplace better. You want to feel something better than this. And you want your anticipations to come through for you. So that's all I've got for you, Sagittarius. Thank you for being here, and good luck with dealing with all of this.